Corinthians chapter 1. We're going to read from verse 26 to the end of chapter 31, but we're really only looking at verse 29 this evening. It says in chapter 1 of 1 Corinthians, in verse 26, "For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and base things of the world and things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. For of him are ye in Christ Jesus, who of God is made unto us wisdom and righteousness and sanctification and redemption, that according as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord." Amen. And God will bless his inspired word. What the world calls wisdom is the opposite of what God calls wisdom. It is just a simple fact that God's wisdom and the world's wisdom are contradictory one to another. This is taught all over the Bible, and especially in 1 Corinthians chapters 1 and 2. Indeed, in chapter 2 and verse 19, chapter 3:19 it is, it says, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness." The wisdom of the world is foolishness to God. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, but they are vain. The world's wisdom is foolishness to God. There's a contradiction between God's wisdom and the world's wisdom. And we see that in that God chooses, as we looked last week, at what God chooses what the world despises. What the world looks down upon, God chooses. He chose fishermen. The temple authorities in Acts chapter 4 and verse 13 said, concerning Christ's disciples, "They are unlearned and ignorant men." And they were, by the world's standards, unlearned, ignorant men. But what shocked the authorities was that the unlearned, ignorant men confounded the worldly wise. And they turned the world upside down. And the so-called intelligent or worldly wise couldn't even answer or debate with these unlearned and ignorant men. God's wisdom is true wisdom, but the world sees it as unlearned and ignorance. God's wisdom is different from the world's wisdom. We ask the question then, why does God's wisdom conflict with the world's? Why? More importantly, or following on from that, why does God choose the very people and attitudes that the world despises? Why? And that's what we're looking at tonight. But only one point. Because the reason why God does this is very simple. Point number one. So that no flesh should glory in his presence. Verse 29 is your answer. It goes through the list. You see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise, not this, not the other, but God has chosen the foolish things, and he's given who God doesn't call, and who God does call. And it comes to verse 29 and it gives you the reason why. That no flesh should glory in his presence. Why does God choose that which the world despises, that no flesh should glory in his presence? The word that, according to Hannah, who is far better at grammar than I am, is a relative pronoun which introduces the adjective clause and is dependent upon, in other words, it's like saying because. God doesn't choose many of these, and he chooses lots of these type of people, that or because. Here's the reason why. That no flesh should glory in his presence. The word no flesh is the Greek word sarx, which means body, human nature, mankind in its totality, carnal humanity without God, no flesh. No carnal being should glory or boast, brag or show off, the word means, in his presence, before the presence of God. God chooses weak, foolish, despised, base people in this world for this explicit reason, that no carnal humanity, no human being has therefore any room at all to be proud before God. That's why he chooses these people. And how wise is God? How doesn't he know human nature oh so well? That no flesh should boast in his presence. How all human beings, dominated by their sinful nature, how we love to boast. It may be subtle, or it may be blunt, but we like to do it. People boast about noble birth, don't they? That's why God chooses the despised and that which is base. People boast about their education and their knowledge. That's why God chooses quite often the foolish. People boast about their strength. That's why it says in the passage that God quite often chooses the despised and the weak. People boast about material things, their riches and their money. That's why it says in the passage God chooses the poor. Quite often he chooses the poor. Isn't it true? Isn't that? Just look at your magazines, look at Cologne magazine. Not that I would ever want to look at that stupid magazine. Or the newspapers and the TV ads. What's it all about? It's all about boasting what you've got. It's all pride. And the sickening thing is about these things that people boast because they think that if they have any of these things, it makes them as a person of more worth and more value and more important than someone else who doesn't have these things. They actually boast about them because they think these things make a human being of more worth and importance. Well, the fact is, these things don't make any difference to a human being's worth or importance. These things that people boast about mean nothing to the Lord. Nothing, not even a little bit, they mean nothing at all. Salvation is not by noble birth. Salvation is not by nationality. I was born a Jew, or I was born a Protestant. No one was ever born a Protestant in their own life. We're all born in sin. No, salvation is not by human cleverness. It's not by intellect. It's not by strength. It's not by ability. It's not by money. It's not by position. All the things in which people boast. God does not call people in that way. He doesn't value people in that way. And when God decides wants to spend eternity with, those things don't count for one little jot. Why not? Because there is no room for boasting before God. No. The conditions for salvation and forgiveness with God are not that you must live in a palace, or you have to have thousands of pounds in the bank, or a PhD or a BTH, or you must be the brains of Britain, which would mean you have one CSE probably for the brains of Britain. No. The conditions are humble and a contrite heart. The conditions are that the person is humble and is willing to say, God, be merciful to me, the sinner. Those who receive mercy, have mercy on me. Every person that's God's has said that to God at one point. Every child, have mercy on me. Those that therefore have received mercy cannot boast, can they? Because it's mercy that has been shown to them in spite of what they are. In spite of them, not because of them, but in spite of them, they have been shown mercy. God chooses these people and not others quite often because there's no room for pride and boasting in the presence of God. That's what the text says in verse 29. That's the reason why God chooses these things. And as you go through life, it doesn't take you long before you see why. Sure it doesn't. I remember many years ago now, it must be 19 years, I would say, ago now, maybe it's 20, coming 20, I was at Queen's University at Rebecca's graduation ceremony for her graduating, getting her BTH degree. And during all the students were graduating and they were dressed in their robes and their gown and the collar thing around it for whatever subject you did. And during that graduation ceremony, the speaker was a businessman who had been very successful. And he got up and spoke for about 15 minutes about him going around different businesses, and he was able to turn businesses around and make millions and millions of pounds. And that's what he talked about for 15 minutes. Now, there's nothing wrong with being successful. There's nothing wrong with being good at business. That's good if you can do that. I think we should all do our best in whatever area we are. But the problem that we must have with that type of thing as Christians is standing up there and boasting about it for 15 minutes as if this is the essence of life. I did this and I did that and that company's like, and I turned it right around and how much millions I made. Are those things the essence of life? Are they worth boasting about? Could the very same man, I don't know, I don't even remember his name, but I wonder, could he have got up and boasted about his marriage being a great success? Could he have boasted about his family life and his children? Did he ever see his children? Or was he working all the time? Maybe there wasn't much to boast about there. See, is this what life is all about? The things of which men boast? Is money more important than marriage and your own children? Most certainly not. The most obviously present at that graduation ceremony thought this was marvellous. This man's really made it. You could tell by the way they even looked. This is great. And we want to be like him. And they think that because they themselves are ignorant, illogical fools. Because the world loves boasting. Pride, the dominant sin. Fill in your application form for a job. What are you expected to do? Boast. Go to your job interview. What are you expected to do? Sell yourself. Show off. Boast. Be proud. Sadly, some church ministers expect the exact same thing as the world. I've been interviewed by 2 churches previous to this one. They were much the same as secular job interviews. They wanted me to sell myself. Here's one of the questions for a prospective pastor. What can you bring to this church that no one else can? Nothing. There's my answer. Why should we call you and not somebody else? I can't think of any reason. Do you know, do you feel confident that you can do this job? No, only by God's grace. What were they wanting? Yes, I am better than everybody else. Why should we call you? Because I'm wonderful. And can you do the job? Most certainly I can. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted me to boast and be proud of myself. I'm the best, but I'm not the best. And little did they know, because most churches and church leaders know virtually nothing about the Bible, that the man who is proud and boasts about himself is immediately disqualified from the ministry according to 1 Timothy chapter 3. Qualifications for a teaching elder, what's one of them? Not proud, not a boaster, not a boaster. And there you have churches trying to get them to boast. How far the church has fallen from the Scripture. Pride. God chooses the weak and the foolish things that no flesh should glory in His presence. Many church committees want prospective ministers to boast just like the world, and they want that because they themselves are biblical ignoramuses. And they probably don't even refer to 1 Timothy chapter 3 when interviewing any prospective ministers. The qualifications that a teaching elder must have, according to God. Instead, they go on their opinions and their feelings, and they go on what they want. And God may as well not even have spoken about the qualifications for a pastor, because they take no heed. Yet, the church's creeds still say they believe that the Bible is the inspired, inerrant, infallible Word of God. They say they believe the Bible is that, but it's a lie. What they believe is the bits of the Bible that they like, and ignore the bits they don't like. And practically they just do what they want. Worldliness. Exactly what the world does. Interviews the same way as the secular world does interviews. Worldliness. The Bible says no flesh should glory in God's presence. There's to be no boasting before God. Why does God choose then, as I conclude, it's a shorter message today, why does God choose the things that the world despises? Because His wisdom contradicts the world's wisdom, so that no human being will ever have any room to be proud in God's presence. If God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and base things of the world. And things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Listen to Charles Hodge as I close. The design of God in thus dealing with men, calling the ignorant rather than the wise, the lowly instead of the great, is that no man should boast before him. No one can stand in God's sight and attribute his conversion or his salvation to his own wisdom or birth or station, or to anything else which he is favourably, by which he is favourably distinguished from his fellow men. Nothing. Nothing at all. It's not because of anything in us. It's because of God choosing us that we are saved. So you've got that relative pronoun that in whatever telling party we're reading insinuates the adjective clause, which tells us here's the reason, here's the purpose, here's the explanation as to why God chooses who he does to take away